I actually started my business by accident, funnily enough. It was 16 years ago. Now we are a firm across 3 East African countries, team of 40 full-time staff. I really sat down and did some deep work to reflect on what drives me as an individual. I've seen in my time a huge shift in leadership. I would say it started as being more positional. Leadership was about being a boss, having a title and a hierarchy. And I think leadership has shifted into leading from behind. The beauty of embracing the collective responsibility that we have as entrepreneurs and citizens of the world is that it has a huge ripple effect. It's like you're taking a pebble, dropping it into water, and all these ripples start to expand across the world. I think young people today need to recognize how powerful they are, first of all. I believe Gen Z and Gen Alpha are really going to change the world.
Welcome to Entrepreneurship, your one-stop shop for information, inspiration, and motivation about all things entrepreneurship.
Hi, my name is Miranda. I'm from EO, Tanzania, and I've been a member for 9 years. But I'm also the founder of Empower, which is a transformational consulting company tailored to Africa's potential. I actually started my business by accident, funnily enough. It was 16 years ago. I was quite a new mother, and I was very, very inspired by the idea of personal development and training. And I'd worked in that space before. And so I just started dabbling in consulting. And then very, very quickly, things organically grew and just snowballed. And now we are a firm across 3 East African countries, team of 40 full-time staff, and working with a variety of different clients. And I absolutely love what we do. So values have been a pivotal part of my lifestyle. Probably 8 years ago, I really sat down and did some deep work to reflect on what drives me as an individual. I have 3 core values: stay in the light, which is about integrity and trying to do the right thing at all times; feed the family, which is about giving my time, resources, and energy to those around me, my close family, but also my team and friends. And then I have service before self, which is about dedicating intentional time to organizations and people that require your support. I believe to be successful personally, you have to give. Now, those values help me make decisions. They help me build friendships and relationships because I want to have alignment in that as well. But they also help me to decide where I'm going. They give me a true north. And similar to our business, we all have values in our business as well. I've got 3 values at Empower. We hire for those values. We manage performance against the values. We reward people against the values. So they become a way of being, what you choose to live and breathe every day consistently. So I believe values are really an intrinsic part of being a whole human. So as leaders, I believe really honing in on what your values are will help you to be a more effective leader. It helps when you know yourself and you have a stronger self-awareness, but it also helps you in driving your team forward because you have something that you can all collectively strive for and be connected to. Your team and your staff know how to behave and what you expect of them when you really spell out what each value means. And I believe value-infused leadership can really take us to the next level, the next frontier. We've talked about servant leadership, transformational leadership, but value-infused leadership is going to support us to solve the real challenges of the world. So I recognize that when you're a bit younger, it can be a challenge to really identify what your values are. You're still exploring the world. You're still trying out new things and seeing what's really important to you. What I would recommend, or experience that I would want to share, is take some time to sit down and perhaps look at a list of maybe 50 values. You can look online and get a list of these and start to circle maybe 10 that really stand out to you. Is it fun? Is it trust? Is it family? What are the things that are really important to you right now in your life? Then start to hone in even more from the 10, perhaps to your top 5. And maybe you can even get to 3. As you grow and you experience more in life, you will find that your values become more clear. And of course, we're human beings. We're living and breathing and we change. So things can start to shift. Maybe right now you don't have family of your own, a partner or children, for example, but maybe a few years down the line, it's something that becomes more important to you. So one of those values may shift and how you choose to dedicate your time. But it's a piece of work, homework, if you will. I would also recommend doing it in nature, sit at the beach or in a forest or in a garden, because you really want to get in touch with yourself. And if you think about, I don't know if you know the Johari window, but the 4 windows of the self, the public self, the private self, there's that box called the hidden self or the blind spot. And often when you go and look for feedback from people, you can really fill in that box and it can help you to understand what's important to you. You might know parts of yourself, but there could be parts that others know best about you. That can help you to identify your values as well. We have a huge responsibility as entrepreneurs and citizens of the world to think about what we're doing to move things forward. And while I do have a successful business in Empower, for the 3 partners, we see it as particularly important to have something that is also supporting our country, Tanzania. So this collective responsibility idea started with our program, Generation Empower, GenM, which is a program that we run on university campuses. So I've got a full-time team working across 4 university campuses. It's about 21st century skills development. So we're supplementing the Tanzanian curriculum with entrepreneurial skills, looking at employability, making this generation of future leaders who will go into politics, who will go into business, who will go into working in the corporate labor market in Tanzania, because we believe we have a part to play. And we fund this with a significant portion of our net income. This is one small example of something that you can do as an entrepreneur. But the question I would ask is, what are you able to do? What's within your power? And how are you going to contribute? Because all of us have to play our part. The beauty of embracing the collective responsibility that we have as entrepreneurs and citizens of the world is that it has a huge ripple effect. It's like you're taking a pebble, dropping it into water, and all these ripples start to expand across the world. And I think what is really beautiful about it is you can inspire others to do the same. So we lift as we rise. We continue to grow, but we're also pulling people with us. This very much ties to my value of service before self, but I believe it touches everyone's heart in some way, that we have to be able to do more for others and not just in building ourselves. We actually gain more as leaders when we are giving than when we're receiving. And that's where the true growth is. I know that entrepreneurs are obsessed with growth, always wanting to be bigger, better, bolder versions of themselves. But I believe the real growth comes from building others, lifting as we rise, and learning through that process. I've seen in my time a huge shift in leadership. I would say it started as being more positional. Leadership was about being a boss, having a title and a hierarchy. And I think leadership has shifted into leading from behind, servant leadership, transformational leadership, where you're trying to get the best performance possible from your team and putting them in the limelight, the spotlight, if you will, giving them the credit for what's being done, but also tapping into your empathy, really understanding who you work with. Their different nuances and ways that they're motivated also helps. But I think this is all part of being a strong servant leader. Really understanding what you can do for others is what's going to make your team shine. And if we can harness this servant leadership idea as opposed to positional leadership, I think we can have greater results. I recognize that when you're starting and building a business, you are in hustle mode. You are trying to survive. You're trying to make ends meet. You're trying to find the right people. You're bringing in customers. You're selling your product or service. All of that is good and well. I think that the idea of collective responsibility can still be embedded into that process. It can come in simple interactions in how you treat the people you work with, how you work with your suppliers, how you connect with your customers. All of that can be part of your collective responsibility for improving things going forward. But you can also dedicate time alongside the hustle years when you're really trying to build the business and it's still quite, under 7 years old business is always quite shaky and you have a lot of challenges. There can be small things that you can do either to mentor another upcoming leader. Remember that people are always watching you. And so as you are hustling and building your business, there's another young person who's younger than you, who's looking at you and watching your every move and is inspired by what you're doing. And so you can take that person under your wing and teach them what you know, the same way you're looking up to somebody else and they're possibly teaching you what they know. I think young people today need to recognize how powerful they are, first of all. You are the absolute majority, and particularly on the African continent, more than half the continent is under the age of 18. So you hold the power, that's number one. But I think there are key values you really need to embrace to take the continent forward and the world at large, where we may have messed up in the past. I would say number one is agility. You need to stay very, very agile and really understand that we're living in an ambiguous and volatile world. It's much harder for you than it probably was for your parents' generation. And we recognize that, and we see you and we hear you. The second thing I would say is really tap into your creativity as we go into this new age of AI and digital transformation, and it's kind of taking over. Don't forget your heart and the human element. And finally, I would say resilience is a really important value. Because things are so tough, it's easier to give up. And I also understand that young people today have a lot more to be anxious about. And so I urge you to really tap into the deepest part of your resilience. Don't give up. Try to find people to support you. Ask for help. It's not a weakness. We all do it. And I believe with those three values of agility, thinking about your heart and making sure that you're creative and use your talents and your resilience, you'll be really well set to exist in the current world. I think what gives me hope is that the current generation are so hungry for growth, so impatient to see things change, impatient in a good way, and they are going to be the change makers. That's what gives me hope. And maybe we thought it was our generation, the millennials, but I believe Gen Z and Gen Alpha in particular, and I'm a mother of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, are really going to change the world. It gives me hope. It gives me a great, immense sense of pride as well. I think that you're well positioned to shift things. And as I mentioned, this is a power, and it should be harnessed and used wisely and carefully. And I believe we'll have sustainable impact. Entrepreneurship is freedom. Freedom to create, freedom to express yourself, freedom with regards to your time. You choose how to invest it. Entrepreneurship is my freedom. GSEA is inspiring. I could not imagine running a business when I was a student. So I'm always absolutely humbled when I meet the students from GSEA. I started my business several years after finishing university, but look at you. What have you done over all these years while studying and balancing your business and other commitments? So I'm always excited to hear from these incredible change makers.
If you want to hear more stories just like this that will support you along your entrepreneurial journey, make sure that you subscribe to the GSEA YouTube channel.